Welcome everyone to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe timeline. In this video, I will be going over the order of events of which they happen in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe timeline. Now, a few notes before I start. I will only be covering the following: Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Knuckles, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Now, I will not be covering the comics as those are not canon to the main story. They are events that might have happened or might have happened in an alternate timeline, but as far as I know, the comic books are not canon, so I won't be covering Sonic the Hedgehog, the adventures of Sonic and Donut Lord, and will not be covering the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 official movie prequel. So, I'm sorry if you actually do want to hear that, but if you want those covered in the timeline, you're gonna have to go somewhere else for that. But I'm only covering the movies and the shows, or show, since there's only one. So, anyways, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So, first of all, we start off with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, surprisingly. Oh yeah, and whichever movie is displayed is when the event is revealed or when it's taking place. So, yeah, there's that as well. So anyways, starting off with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. January 1513. On a planet far away in space, a group of warriors known as the Echidnas travel the world for the 7 mystical gemstones, known as the Chaos Emeralds. Each one holds tremendous power, and when all 7 are collected, a single user will become invincible. One day, the Echidnas find all 7 Chaos Emeralds and forge them into the most powerful weapon in existence, the Master Emerald. Once created, the leader of the Echidnas harnesses it and uses it to wipe out entire armies. However, an order of heroes known as the Owls believed no one should have such power, and fought for the Emerald. They succeed, and swore to protect the Master Emerald from evil by hiding it in a secret location. Alright, December 1973. A meteor crashes on Earth and is discovered by the government. Inside the meteor is a life form with powers no one can imagine. The government then gets an idea to harness the powers of the life form and dubs it Project Shadow. A few days later, the project leader's granddaughter, Maria, tries to enter in a restricted area but is immediately stopped by a soldier. However, the captain of the squad, Walters, assures him it's okay and lets her pass. Then, while walking through the area, Maria discovers Shadow through a glass tube, and after a while starts to bond with him. Then the two start going renegade and interfere with the scientist's work and make things more complicated. One night, they go onto a roof and discuss how Shadow is not wanted in the world since he claims the scientists are afraid of him and he doesn't even remember his origins. Then he says that because of these conditions, there's no place for him. Maria assures him that he isn't alone and that Earth will be his home once all of the science stuff is over, and that no matter what happens, he will always be who he is on the inside. January 1974. On New Year's Day, while Shadow is giving the scientists samples of chaos energy, the leader of the project, Professor Gerald Robotnik, discovers that the power could be used for more than a fuel source. However, the other scientists are not on board with this and demand that Shadow be killed since he's too dangerous to be roaming around. But instead, Gerald goes rogue and thus the alarm goes off to alert the soldiers. Gerald finds Maria and Shadow and informs them that they're wanted fugitives now and that and that they need to leave the place immediately. They all start running for the exit, but unfortunately for them, the soldiers catch up to them. Upon seeing them, one of the soldiers starts to fill with rage, remembering all the trouble Maria and Shadow caused for the squad, and gets ready to shoot them down. Captain Walters tries to stop him though, as Maria and Shadow are children and the government isn't authorized to shoot child targets. The soldier fires his gun anyway, but because of Captain Walters' interference, the shot hits a Chaos Energy tank which causes an explosion, killing dozens of people, including Maria. Afterward, Gerald is arrested and gets life in prison, while Shadow is placed into stasis for being too valuable and dangerous. Before being cased, Shadow glares at Captain Walters for placing him inside the stasis tank and believing that he's the one who shot the tank. January 2013. On another planet, a hedgehog named Sonic, who was born with super energy, lives his free life on a tropical island with his sensei Longclaw. One day, Sonic gets too careless and attracts the attention of the Echidna tribe, who soon learn where Sonic and Longclaw are hiding. The Echidna tribe then sets out to find them and get the info they need to find the Master Emerald. However, one of the Echidnas, Knuckles, is asked to stay back by his father's request as he is not yet ready for combat, but that his moment will come soon. Sonic returns home after one of his runs. Longclaw warns Sonic that even though he can run super fast, someone is bound to see him. Sonic assures Longclaw there's nothing to worry about since no living being can see someone traveling at that speed. But it looks like Sonic is about to eat his words as the Echidna tribe shows up, ready to kill Longclaw and harness Sonic's power. Longclaw helps Sonic escape the hut, but the former gets shot down. After crash landing, Longclaw tells Sonic that as long as he lives with the power, someone will always want it, and sends him off to Earth with a bag of rings and a map to keep him safe. Longclaw informs Sonic that if he ever is discovered, to use a ring to escape to another world, and to never stop running. After that, Sonic escapes to Earth, and Longclaw is killed by the Echidna tribe. After a while, Knuckles hears about his father's demise and rushes over to the site where he fought. Knuckles finds his father lying on the ground, mortally injured, and Knuckles begs for him to not die as he's nothing without him. Knuckles' father tells him that he won't ever leave him, but that he must get stronger by any means necessary as their kind is now endangered. But before he can say anything else, he dies. Knuckles mourns over his dad's death, but quickly remembers his wish of him getting stronger. Then he remembers a tale of a mystical power called the Flames of Disaster, and sets off to find it. February 2013. Knuckles travels the universe to find the Flames of Disaster until he finally finds the place it's located, Emerald Hill Zone. Knuckles travels the land, going through various obstacles until he finally comes across the Fire Demon, who is the guardian and master of the Flames of Disaster. Knuckles tries his best to fight him, but it's no good. The Fire Demon proves too strong for him and is killed in battle. Just before succumbing to his death, however, Knuckles has a moment of thought. Was his strength all for nothing? His punches, glide, and energy were no match for him. Then he realizes that a warrior's power doesn't come from their skin, it comes from within. Knuckles awakens and tells the Fire Demon that he's about to meet his true might with his new power. But the Fire Demon says that's impossible. Only he can be the power's master. But Knuckles says he's wrong, as now he wields the flames of disaster and uses it to kill the fire demon. With his father's wish accomplished, Knuckles' adventure isn't over yet, as now he must retrieve the Master Emerald for his tribe. January 2023. In Green Hills, Montana, a local cop named Tom is on speed patrol, when all of a sudden a blue blur speeds by him and his speedometer picks up it's going at 300 miles per hour. He goes outside to investigate and finds a glowing blue quill, but before he can find anything else, his partner Wade informs him about a crime and tells him to rush over. So Tom leaves the area. A car comes by and is about to run over a turtle, but is saved by Sonic, who we see has been living in Green Hills for the last 10 years. Sonic helps the turtle go faster and then drops him off, then goes to his cave to entertain himself. In the middle of his games, though, he knocks over the bag of rings and immediately remembers that the next place he's supposed to go to, in case he's found, is a decomposing planet filled with nothing but oxygen and mushrooms, much to his discomfort, as Sonic hates mushrooms. Then he goes about his daily routine in the town, watching everyone do their own thing while staying hidden. He sees Tom, who he calls the Donut Lord since he doesn't know his actual name, do his daily patrol of the town, protecting it and keeping every creature safe. But there is one person in town who is on to Sonic, a man called Crazy Carl, so named because no one believes his stories about seeing Sonic, who he calls the Blue Devil. Sonic even goes as far as to mess with him to make it so that the townsfolk think he actually is crazy. One night, Tom gets a letter from San Francisco saying that his application of being part of the San Francisco Police Department has been accepted. Tom feels that Green Hills isn't the right place to do his work, and that moving to San Francisco will be the right change. The next day, Sonic watches a baseball game and sees everyone getting along. When nighttime arrives, Sonic decides to reenact his own baseball game, but when he wins, he realizes that he will be alone forever. He tries running out his feelings, but super energy starts building up and eventually unleashes, creating a massive shockwave that knocks out power across the entire Pacific Northwest. Tom is informed of the power outage through Wade, but then notices the quill he picked up begins glowing. Meanwhile, on another planet, someone else picks up the energy surge. "20 minutes later, the power is restored, and a meeting is held about what to do about the mysterious power surge, led by Walters, who is now a commander for the government. Everyone tries to figure out what caused the surge and what to do about the situation, but Commander Walters tells everyone that they need someone with a sophisticated mindset, someone who knows exactly what they're dealing with. He suggests none other than Dr. Ivo Robotnik, who is actually Professor Gerald's grandson. Everyone thinks that's a terrible idea, but Commander Walters calls him for the job anyway since he claims they have no choice. The next morning, a military force is investigating the baseball field Sonic caused the energy surge at since they believe that's where the power surge originated from, led by Major Bennington. Then a giant truck, followed by a squad of cars, arrives at the scene. Dr. Robotnik exits the truck and confronts Bennington, saying he, his agents, and his drones are taking control of the operation now. Robotnik sends his drones off, and one of them finds a footprint, which Robotnik is able to figure out that the creature is an extraterrestrial. Once he realizes this, he sends the military off to find Sonic, who the footprint belongs to. Sonic realizes Earth isn't safe anymore since he's been discovered, and needs to go to the Mushroom Planet. Unfortunately, Larry is outside the cave, so Sonic has to find somewhere else that's safe to transport. He goes to Tom's garage, but Tom hears Sonic break the window, so he loads a tranquilizer gun and goes to the garage, thinking it's a bunch of raccoons. Sonic readies himself to throw the ring, but Tom bursts in, screams at the sight of Sonic, and shoots him, making Sonic drop the ring and open a portal to San Francisco, where he drops the rest of his rings. After that, he passes out. Tom takes Sonic in his house and puts him in a dog cage, and realizes that he's the blue devil Crazy Carl was talking about. Sonic wakes up and realizes that his rings are gone, and begs for Tom's help since the government is now looking for him, and he's still experiencing the tranquilizer. The effects of the tranquilizer, anyway. Robotnik arrives at Tom's house and greets him, then lies to Tom about being with the power company to try and look inside his house. Tom sees through Robotnik's act, however, and asks why he's really here. Robotnik replies by telling him there is an energy signature at his house similar to the power surge, and that if he finds out Tom is helping the creature, he will die. In Tom's attic, Sonic is hiding until some drones start scanning the area, but Sonic panics and falls downstairs, which Robotnik hears, so he uses that moment to the house and captures Sonic, but when he enters, he finds nothing. Just when Robotnik is about to leave, however, he spots the quill Tom found and readies a drone to kill him if he doesn't get his answers. Tom tells Robotnik he's threatening an officer, but the latter says he can easily erase his existence once he's dead. He starts counting down, and once he reaches 1, Sonic breaks and begs Robotnik not to shoot Tom. Robotnik screams, then Tom punches him in the face, which causes the drone to start shooting them. Sonic and Tom manage to destroy the drone, and after that, they get in Tom's truck and drive as far away as possible. At the same time, the agents arrive at the scene, and one of these agents, Stone, goes up to help Robotnik. Robotnik tells Agent Stone that their job is to capture the creature by any means necessary. They must succeed no matter what. Before they leave, Robotnik orders Agent Stone to bring the quill. Somewhere on the road, Sonic and Tom are still driving away, until Tom starts interrogating Sonic since he wants to know what's happening. Sonic tells him that he's a hedgehog from another world and that he came to Earth seeking refuge. But because Tom got him, his rings are now stuck in San Francisco. Sonic tells Tom to take him to San Francisco and use to get his rings and use them to go to the Mushroom Planet. But at this point, Tom's had enough, so he pulls over and demands Sonic to get out. Sonic exits the truck, but says he doesn't know where San Francisco is. Tom says it's a straight line west, so Sonic runs in that direction and comes back soaking wet, saying he doesn't know where he's going. And if it weren't for Tom, he'd be gone by now. Tom gives in and tells Sonic he'll take him to San Francisco, but that Sonic must do everything he says. Sonic consents and they take off. Later, nighttime arrives and Tom stops at a gas station. Tom tells Sonic he's gonna call Wade using a payphone, and to stay inside the truck as he doesn't want anyone seeing him. As Sonic is waiting, he sees a place across the street called the Piston Pit, looking like the coolest place he's ever seen. He tries to resist the urges of going over there, but then gets an idea. Tom calls Wade, and Wade tells Tom that a bunch of people came in and interrogated him, asking a bunch of questions about Tom. Tom tells Wade not to tell them they talked, but it turns out they were already in the room, and that the people were Robotnik and the agents. Robotnik snatches the phone and informs Tom that when he finds him, he'll kill him for punching him in the face. After that, Tom hangs up, and Robotnik and the agents leave the police station. Tom comes back with a bunch of food for Sonic, but then notices he's not in the truck anymore. Then he looks across the street, sees the piston pit, and gets an idea of exactly what he did. He enters the place and finds Sonic sitting on a bar stool and tells him they need to leave. Sonic convinces Tom to stay, but Tom gets irritated and says he'll check this stunt off his bucket list. Sonic doesn't know what a bucket list is, so Tom tells him that a bucket list is a list of things you want to do before an important event occurs. Upon hearing this, Sonic snatches a notepad and starts writing down everything he wants to do. He stops when he realizes that there's so much he's never done, and now that he has to leave forever, he missed his chance. Tom feels remorse and assures Sonic that a place like they're in now is where you can get a lot of living done in a short matter of time, and that he'll try his best to help him have the best time in the bar. Together, they do all sorts of activities to check off the list. After a while, they take a break when a group of thugs walks by saying they hate hipsters walking around the place. Sonic gets triggered and tries to break a bottle on his head, but it doesn't work, which triggers the lead thug into punching Tom and starting a bar fight. Throughout the commotion, Sonic freezes time and does all sorts of pranks on everyone. When Sonic resumes the flow of time, everyone besides Tom falls onto the floor and gets seriously injured. Sonic and Tom run to the truck and drive away from all of the people that Sonic triggered. Then they stop and rest at a motel after everything that happened. Sonic does more stuff in the room they're in, then Tom asks Sonic about the next planet he's going to. Sonic says there's no inhabitants, just oxygen and giant mushrooms. Sonic then says he'll miss Earth, but what if Longclaw was wrong? Maybe he could coexist with humans. Afterward, Sonic passes out from exhaustion, which gives Tom an opportunity to relax. Tom decides to take a look at Sonic's bucket list and sees there's only one thing that hasn't been checked off. Make a real friend. Tom realizes that Sonic has been living alone his entire life. Then a news report on the TV shows up, saying that Tom's gone rogue and committed an act of terrorism, and that there's a manhunt for him. The next morning, Robotnik's team arrives at the gas station and interrogate everyone there. No one gets any answers, so Robotnik goes back inside his truck and calculates where they're at right now. Sure enough, he finds them. On the highway, Sonic asks Tom what's on his bucket list. Tom tells Sonic that in Green Hills, he feels more like a caretaker than a cop, so he wants to prove himself by moving to San Francisco and becoming a street cop. Sonic gets mad at Tom for leaving Green Hill since it's a perfect town and the people need him there. Meanwhile, Robotnik sends his tank drone to hunt down Sonic and Tom. The tank drone catches up to the duo while Sonic still argues with Tom. The tank drone shoots a harpoon which latches onto the truck and starts reeling in. Sonic starts getting pissed which starts building up super energy, until Tom slams the brakes, sending the supercharged Sonic into the tank drone, destroying it. The battle isn't over yet though, as Robotnik activates his pursuit excavator drone inside the tank drone, which is destroyed, and activates a monowheel drone inside the pursuit excavator drone, which is also destroyed, and activates a tiny helicopter drone, which is a monowheel drone, stuff like that. After Sonic breaks the tiny helicopter drone, it starts beeping and won't come off for some reason, so Tom pulls over. Eventually, Sonic gets it off, but it explodes and kills him. Tom sees Sonic isn't responding and tries to help him. Robotnik sees his drones have failed him, then Agent Stone walks in and claims they're real survivors. Robotnik threatens Agent Stone, saying that he won't miss any of his agents if they all die, since his machines are all that he needs. Then the quill Agent Stone starts glowing, as if somehow the super energy acts like a hive mind. Robotnik takes the quill, intrigued by the reaction it's giving. He licks it to see how much power it has, but the shock is so strong it makes him move fast. Tom makes it to a house and covers up Sonic, then enters to seek help. And when he does, Maddie and her sister Rachel argue about what to do about Tom. That's when Tom's dog Ozzy removes the sheet on Sonic, and the truth is revealed in front of everyone. At Robotnik's truck, Robotnik analyzes Sonic's quill and discovers it has an unlimited supply of power. With this info, he readies his hovercraft prototype. Back with Tom and Maddie, they're trying to figure out how to bring back Sonic when they try using smelling salts. Upon inhaling it, Sonic is revived and starts running everywhere in the kitchen. Tom takes Maddie out of the room and explains that Sonic is the blue devil Crazy Carl is talking about, and that he shot him on accident and promised to take him to the Transmerica building. The child in the house, Jojo, brings Sonic a new pair of shoes since his old ones are worn out. Sonic puts on the shoes and gets excited to run again. Afterward, Sonic and Tom, along with Maddie, go to the building, but Sonic can't get inside without a key. So Tom gets the idea of hiding Sonic in a bag and taking him to the roof without anyone seeing. Once on the roof, Sonic grabs his rings, says his goodbyes, and gets ready to leave. But Robotnik shows up to kill Tom and capture Sonic in person. Sonic gets ready to fight, but before he does, he pushes Tom and Maddie off the building. Robotnik gets shocked at seeing that, then orders his drones to fire, but Sonic freezes time again. Sonic starts destroying the drones, but what he doesn't know is that he didn't freeze time this time. He only slowed it down to an extreme amount. Because of this, Robotnik is able to push a button to activate the quill's super energy, allowing him to travel at Sonic speed. Robotnik fires a laser at Sonic, knocking him unconscious. Sonic wakes up and sees he's falling. He sees Tom and Maddie are falling as well, so he grabs a nearby ring and throws it, opening a portal to Green Hills and saving their lives. Sonic loses his footing while running on the side of the building, though, and crashes right onto the street. Robotnik catches up to Sonic and warns him not to run, but the latter doesn't listen as he picks up his rings and runs away. Robotnik gives chase, and the two of them run across the world. Eventually, Sonic opens a portal back to Green Hills, but Robotnik manages to hit Sonic, severely wounding him. Robotnik enters Green Hills as well and gets ready to finish Sonic, but Tom fights back to protect Sonic and ends up getting knocked off. The hovercraft. He landed on the hovercraft, but anyway, the people of Green Hills start fighting back after they saw what Robotnik did to Tom, but then Tom notices that Sonic is dead for good this time. Robotnik tells Tom that he never belonged on Earth, as he's an alien. Tom makes a bold remark, saying he's more human than Robotnik. Green Hills was his home, and he had a friend. This speech causes super energy to charge up within Sonic, and Sonic is instantly revived. Sonic absorbs the super energy stored in the quill and uses it to fight Robotnik, as now instead of using his power to run away, he's using it to protect everyone in Green Hills. The two clash, but in the end, Tom throws a ring, opening a portal to the Mushroom Planet. Sonic pushes Robotnik through the portal and banishes him there. Sonic and Tom slap hands, and Tom decides to stay in Green Hills after all. Everyone in the area proceeds to go home after what just happened. 3 days later, another morning arrives in Green Hills. Tom and Maddie are currently fixing the house until someone knocks at the front door. To their surprise, it's Commander Walters, who thanks Tom for keeping quiet about what happened recently and gives him a token of appreciation. Tom thanks him for the Olive Garden gift card, which was the token of appreciation, and says that the government can now close the file on Dr. Ira Robotnik, or just Dr. Robotnik. He doesn't know his since he's disappeared, but Commander Walters says that no such person exists or ever has existed. He then asks if Tom and Maddie are in contact with the blue alien since the incident, but they say they haven't seen him at all after that. With that, they close the door. It turns out that Tom and Maddie lied to Commander Walters in order to keep Sonic hidden. They say it's time for Sonic to go back into his cave, but when Sonic tries to leave, they say it's not the cave they're talking about. Tom opens the attic and shows Sonic his new cave, and all the stuff he had there is now here. Sonic now accepts that Earth truly is his home. April 2023. Dr. Robotnik is still alive on the Mushroom Planet after 3 months, and looks through the wreckage and manages to find the quill he had has aftershocks, and this will be his way of getting back home. September 2023. After being marooned on the Mushroom Planet for 8 months, Robotnik has finished his transportation machine to get back home. All he has to do is insert the quill and use its aftershocks to power it up. But when he does, the machine falters and causes a massive shockwave that spreads throughout the universe. Nightfall arrives, Robotnik looks to be dead, hunters come through a ring to check out the area. Robotnik awakens and takes out the hunters using traps he laid out beforehand as a possibility. Robotnik runs to the ring portal to leave, but then a shadowy figure emerges from it, glowing a bright red color. It's Knuckles, now grown up as a strong warrior. Knuckles asks Robotnik where he found the quill he has, and Robotnik replies, "It's from a source much more powerful. Somewhere in Seattle, a gang of robbers have hijacked a truck full of money with a bunch of police cars chasing them. Sonic is looking over this on the roof of a building, and rushes over by to help rushes over to help by taking out the robbers. After that, he throws out the bombs they had into a garbage truck and one more into a sewer, and dismantles the truck to stop it since the brakes stopped working. The bomb Sonic threw in the sewer explodes and blasts water on the streets. Sonic stands on the roof of a building and tells everyone they can always count on Blue Justice, which is supposed to be an alias or something, I don't know. Everyone in the area calls him a terrible hero as Sonic runs back to Green Hills to celebrate his victory. Morning arrives in Green Hills, which Sonic made it on time as he shouts it's morning on top of a mountain. He sneaks into the attic and opens a drawer and takes out the map, remembering Longclaw's sacrifice. He tries to sleep but is woken up by the dog as it drags him out of bed, with Sonic remembering that he's going fishing with Tom today. At the lake, Sonic and Tom are fishing until the former falls asleep and falls into the lake. Tom gets him out and starts talking to Sonic about what he did last night as he knows what he'd been up to. He says that if Sonic keeps being irresponsible with his power, he'll only cause more damage or even kill someone. Sonic says that Tom is supposed to be his friend and to stop trying to be his dad as he knows how to handle himself. Tom says that handling yourself isn't what defines a hero. It's taking responsibility for others. He tells Sonic that he's still just a kid, and that he's still got growing up to do, but that his time to shine will come soon. Sonic agrees with Tom, and that he'll be more responsible and patient. Later that day, Tom and Maddie get ready to leave for a trip to Hawaii and see a ring portal leading there. They go through, but before it closes, Sonic tosses them a ring for them to get back. Then the ring portal closes. With them alone in the house, Sonic and Ozzy start partying and destroy the house in the process. On a mountain near the town, an unknown tracking fox-like creature comes in through a ring portal looking at a sensor trying to find someone, hoping they're not too late. The tracker reveals his second tail, then jumps off the building he's on and starts flying. The tracker lands in a bush near Tom's house and notices the signal getting stronger. All he has to do is reach the target without being spotted. Then he notices a police car and gets an idea. Sonic is still partying in the house until he sees Tom is calling him on a FaceTime video. So he quickly hides the mess and answers the call. Tom checks in with Sonic and says he only called to tell him they're there. After a brief discussion about responsibility, Tom hangs up and goes to where everyone else is. As it turns out, Tom and Maddie didn't leave for a vacation. They left to attend Rachel's wedding, which I'm guessing was Maddie's idea, as a man named Randall approaches him and starts threatening him for what he did to Rachel last time. He proceeds to say he was only kidding and points out Rachel doesn't care for Tom at all, until Rachel comes up and threatens to kill him if he does anything. Back at the house, Sonic and Ozzy are watching a movie until a ring portal opens outside and suddenly the lights go out. The TV turns back on and shows static, so Sonic walks to the front door to see if anyone is there, but then the doorknob sparks and reveals Robotnik there. With Sonic surprised he's still alive and managed to find a way back. Robotnik says he's about to get his revenge, prompting Sonic to charge forward, but Robotnik steps to the side and has Knuckles punch Sonic. Sonic is knocked back onto the couch, wondering who this stranger is. Robotnik says he's Knuckles, his new partner. Sonic doesn't care who teamed up with him since he'll never get his power. Knuckles asks if it looks like he really needs his power before punching Sonic out of the house. Knuckles asks where it is, so Sonic gives it to him by charging straight into Knuckles with all his might, but it's no use. Knuckles proves to be too strong for Sonic as he holds him back and hammers him to the ground before slamming him onto a tree. Knuckles tells Sonic it's his destiny to accomplish what his ancestors couldn't do, to restore the ultimate power to his people's home. Robotnik hears this and suddenly grows interested. Knuckles says he knows Sonic is Longclaw's apprentice, then reveals Longclaw and the Owls were the sworn enemy of his people and gets ready to kill Sonic. But then a police car drives in and rams Knuckles into a shack. The tracker pops out the window and says he's on Sonic's side, with the latter being confused on who he is, but doesn't have any time as Knuckles is about to get back up, so he hops in and drives away. Knuckles gets up again and starts chasing the car. The tracker says it's an honor to finally meet Sonic, and that everyone calls him because of his extra tail. Sonic still wants answers about who Robotnik's new partner is, so Tails gives the info he has on him. His name is Knuckles, the last of the Echidnas and the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy. He seeks out an artifact called the Master Emerald, and that's been his goal. Almost his entire life. Knuckles catches up to them, so Tails drives the car off a cliff, prompting Knuckles to jump and latch onto the cliff. while Tails carries Sonic while flying out of the area. Robotnik drives on the scene on a lawnmower and sees Sonic's new ally, then proceeds to message someone. At a coffee shop called the Mean Bean, Stone, now known as one of the remnants of Robotnik after Robotnik's disappearance 8 months ago, is working there serving coffee, wondering where his former boss might be. Then suddenly he gets a message saying to prepare a latte. Stone gets a good hunch who it is, so he tells everyone to leave because he needs to close early. He pushes a hidden button in the shop, activating a capsule in space. As Stone screams he's finally back. The capsule lands near Robotnik, which he proceeds to enter when it opens. It also activates some drones. Inside the capsule, Robotnik cleans himself up, gets a new suit, and exits the capsule saying he's been reborn. Knuckles is still climbing back up and manages to get to the top. Robotnik then suggests to make a deal with Knuckles. He helps him get the Master Emerald back, and he can use it to destroy Sonic. Knuckles consents, and the deal is made. Meanwhile, Sonic and Tails land at Wade's house, trying to figure out why Knuckles is hunting Sonic, and how he knew Longclaw. Then Sonic remembers something. There's an emerald symbol on the map he got from Longclaw. Suddenly, the map starts glowing, then a hologram of Longclaw pops out. The Longclaw hologram informs Sonic she chose to send him to Earth for a reason. It's the secret location of the Master Emerald. She says the Emerald has the power to turn thoughts into reality, and if placed into the wrong hands, it could threaten all of the universe. She reveals protecting the Master Emerald was her sacred duty, and now it's Sonic's duty to protect it. The Longclaw hologram then tells Sonic to follow the map to find the emerald and keep it safe, then disappears. The map shows the first clue is in Siberia, that there's a compass that will lead to the emerald, and with Knuckles already on Earth, it's a race. Sonic throws a ring leading to Siberia and says that Tails will be joining him. Tails doesn't want to go though, as he only came to warn him. Sonic assures he won't let anything happen to him, so Tails agrees to join after all. Back at the Mean Bean, Stone finishes preparing the latte for Robotnik, then the latter enters the place, as Stone calls him... Then the latter enters the place. Stone claims he knew he would come back, but then notices Knuckles entering the place, as Stone calls him some weird space porcupine. Knuckles gets offended, saying he's an Echidna warrior destined to restore honor to his tribe and willing to kill anyone in his way. Stone welcomes him to the team, then activates several compartments and transforms the place into a safe house. Back at Hawaii, Tom and Randall are competing against each other in volleyball, but Tom's team isn't any use to him, so Randall and his team end up winning. Randall helps Tom up, which the latter thanks for hanging out with them. Randall says that the people on his team are more than good teammates. They're his squad, people he grew up with. Randall leaves to join his friends. Then Maddie and JoJo, with JoJo being the ring bearer for the wedding, approach Tom with the rings. Tom takes one look at the rings, but notices one is missing. JoJo gets worried, but then Tom reveals he swiped one while she wasn't looking just to mess with her and gives back the ring. This is important, I swear. Tom and Maddie notice Randall having fun with the squad, making Tom wish that Sonic could have people like that, as he usually does everything by himself. Maddie assures Tom he'll be fine as he's smart and will find his way. During a snowstorm in Siberia, Sonic shouts that he absolutely cannot find his way. Tails points out he can't get any readings in a storm like this, and suggests maybe they turn back. Sonic then sees a building ahead and suggests they take shelter there. Sonic sees some snow gear and gets an idea. Tails is worried about who's inside, but Sonic assures them they'll be fine. They enter the place, which turns out to be a tavern, and it's clear they're not welcome as Tails faints, while Sonic remains optimistic and asks for a table. At the table, Tails orders using a translator, which impresses Sonic, prompting him to ask where he got his tech from. Tails says he made them, as inventing is his talent, which is the same reason he found Sonic when he unleashed his super energy. The blast reached out to his home planet, and he's been watching him since, even seeing him save Green Hills from Robotnik. But once he learned Knuckles was hunting him, he had to go and warn him. Then Sonic gets a message from Tom, who's checking up on him. As it turns out, the person who sent the message was actually Robotnik, who hacked Sonic's phone. Sonic's next message goes through, saying he's having another boring night at home. Robotnik sees through his lies, however, and manages to locate his true location. As Robotnik and Knuckles are about to leave, however, the latter asks about bringing Stone. Robotnik says there isn't any room for him and says to leave him behind, saying it's how he rolls. Sonic and Tails get their order, but are confused about what they got, so Tails asks. Tails asks about it, but the translator falters and ends up mistranslating Sonic and Tails' words, causing the tavern occupants to remove their gear and see their true forms. They immediately think they're monsters, so they proceed to grab them and get ready to kill them, until Tails shouts Pivanka, prompting everyone to let them go. A certain someone in the crowd hears this and prepares for the challenge. Turns out Tails had suggested to settle their dispute with a dance fight. They notice the map is gone, but it's too late. The battle has begun, so they start dancing but to no avail. The other side proves to be superior to their moves. Then they notice the map is on the Pivanka Master's foot, so Sonic tries to grab it, but the Pivanka Master grabs it and dares them to grab it as he calls them freaks and stuffs the map in his pants. Everyone in the audience starts shouting freaks at Sonic and Tails, which causes the latter to become nervous. Tails says that he can never be like Sonic, as he's the one responsible for the mess. Sonic then notices the sound system, so he plugs his phone in and plays a new song to give them an advantage. Because of this, they manage to win the battle, causing the Pivanka Master to succumb to his defeat. Sonic takes the map back and tells Tails he did a great job as the tavern occupants cheer for them. After the battle, Tails asks if Sonic really is his friend, which Sonic says he is, making Tails hug him, but Sonic gets surprised and pushes him back. Tails reveals that throughout his life, he never had any friends since everyone in his village thought his extra tail was weird, but then he saw Sonic was also weird, but that he was a legend, making Tails think that being weird isn't all bad, even being inspired to leave and find Sonic. Afterward, they decide to sleep and wait until morning to leave so they can get a reading. Morning arrives. Sonic and Tails are in the air looking for the location of the compass. Tails finds the coordinates and enter a hole on the side of a mountain. They see a giant owl door, which could mean the place was an owl base. They enter and see pictures on the wall, revealing to them what happened to the owls in Echidnas back then. Then they see a giant owl statue and see there's a combination of symbols. Sonic sees more symbols on the map and tries something, which activates a scanner that detects Sonic. Then the owl statue gives Sonic the compass, which will now allow them to find the emerald. But Knuckles, Robotnik, and his drones arrive on the scene ready to swipe the compass from them. Sonic and Tails exit the place, but are confronted by a large drop. Tails flies away, while Sonic grabs a drone piece and snowboards his way down the mountain. At the same time, Knuckles grabs a drone piece and snowboards down the mountain as well. Sonic manages to destroy the drones, but Knuckles catches up and attacks Sonic, making him drop his rings off a cliff. Sonic has had enough of Knuckles, saying he has a habit of ruining his life, but Knuckles says that Sonic has ruined his life, as they reveal they lost everything 10 years ago. Tails comes in and shocks Knuckles, so Sonic tosses the compass to him, but Robotnik catches it and shoots down Tails, so Sonic goes to help him. But then an avalanche comes down, so Robotnik and Knuckles leave while Sonic snowboards away. Sonic hesitates at first, but decides he needs to call Tom. At the wedding, Tom's phone starts ringing during the presentation, so he leaves to answer it. Okay, so I know what a lot of you are thinking. Tom's phone displayed that it was Friday, January 31st at this scene, but I said that the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 take place on September of 2023. Well, I think that's Friday, January 31st, I think in 2020, is the moment that the scene was recorded, and that the editors and that the movie and that the crew didn't account for that detail. So don't start saying that I'm wrong about when the events take place. Okay, I'm aware about the Tom's phone thing, okay? Don't worry about it. I'm aware. Okay, but this is what I think. I think that the Friday, January 31st was a mistake or an oversight, whatnot. Anyways, once far enough, Tom answers the phone and sees Sonic in trouble. Sonic tells Tom he needs to throw the ring he gave him to save him. Tom throws the ring, but for some reason it doesn't work. Then he realizes he mixed the rings up when he was messing with JoJo, and realizes the real ring is at the stand. See, I told you this was important. Tom runs up to Randall and punches him in the face, throws the ring to where Sonic is, then Sonic comes crashing through Hawaii with a pile of snow. Sonic tells Tom and Maddie that Robotnik has returned and is after an artifact called the Master Emerald. Sonic finds Tails unconscious in the snow and digs him out, but then gets shocked by the wedding guests. Commander Walters comes out and reveals that everyone at the wedding are federal agents, and that every aspect of Operation Catfish was a complete fabrication. Their real goal was to capture Sonic, which they failed to accomplish 8 months ago. They place Sonic and Tails in cages and carry them off, but Tom retaliates and knocks out the agents, but Randall restrains him. Maddie tries convincing Commander Walters that Sonic's on their side, but Commander Walters says that he's an uncontrollable extraterrestrial and orders the agents to secure them in the hotel until the chopper arrives. Commander Walters reveals that after the events Sonic caused in San Francisco, a global task force was created, devoted to protecting Earth from alien threats, and on that day, Guardian Units of Nations was born. Maddie then informs Commander Walters that Robotnik has returned, and that the only ones who can stop him have been captured by Gunn. Commander Walters informs everyone about the possibility of Robotnik's return, and that if he's to be found immediately. JoJo then comes up to Maddie holding Tails' pack, which gives Maddie an idea. So Maddie goes to find Sonic and Tom, while Rachel goes to find Randall. Maddie and Rachel fight through them using Tails as gadgets, then they split up. Commander Walters and Randall talk about what the wedding did to Rachel, until one of the gun agents that Maddie sent flying earlier lands and informs Commander Walters they're under attack. Rachel comes in driving a golf cart ready to kill Randall, but ends up crashing it, so she confronts him on foot. Commander Walters readies his taser, but when he shoots, Randall jumps in and takes the blow himself. Rachel pulls out a gun on Commander Walters, so he backs off. So Commander Walters backs off. I think that's what I meant. Rachel forgives Randall for what he did, and since Randall betrayed Gunn, he'll no longer be working with them. Then they both become friends. Back with Maddie, she finds where Sonic, Tom, and Tails are and free them. Robotnik and Knuckles arrive on an island and place the compass on a switch, which activates a temple underwater and opens a path leading there. Sonic sees the beacon and the temple is emitting and realizes that he blew his chance since Tails is dead, so runs off on his own to fix everything. Tails wakes up from his grave and tries flying after Sonic, but he's too weak. Tom and Maddie tell Commander Walters about the beacon, so he agrees to help. Back at Green Hills, Wade is on patrol and tries entering the Mean Bean, but the place is locked. He enters through another side of the building and catches Stone in an evil act. Sonic makes it to an edge of the island and runs across the ocean to reach the temple, but dies in an ocean wave. Sonic manages to wake up from his grave in front of the temple and enters it, and runs to the Master Emerald. At the same time, Robotnik and Knuckles also run through the temple and make it to the Master Emerald altar. But then Sonic crashes through the ceiling, ready to protect the Emerald. Sonic and Knuckles fight, but Knuckles gets the upper hand again and gets ready to kill Sonic again. But Sonic sees Robotnik near the Emerald and tells Knuckles. Knuckles shouts to Robotnik that wasn't the deal, but Robotnik says this was his plan all along. He took advantage of his low intellect and tricked him into helping him. Then takes the Master Emerald and absorbs its power. However, without the power of the Emerald, the temple starts to collapse, burying Knuckles under rubble underwater, so Sonic saves him. But Knuckles swims out, and because Sonic can't swim, he drowns and dies. All of a sudden, Knuckles saves Sonic and takes him to shore. Sonic is confused why he saved him, so Knuckles points out he saved him for no reason. Sonic says he couldn't let him die, since that's not what a hero does. Sonic then hears a noise and sees Tails flying with the plane. Sonic assures Knuckles they haven't lost yet, and says he doesn't have to be alone anymore, so Knuckles agrees to help Sonic after all. Back with Wade, he's interrogating Stone, but doesn't get any answers. Suddenly the lights in the building turn green and Robotnik teleports in, now fully powered up. At the same time, Gunn arrives outside the building. Commander Walters, Tom, and Maddie also arrive at the scene. Then Robotnik floats out of the building and confronts Gunn. Commander Walters tells Robotnik he stands no chance since he has nothing left. Robotnik retaliates by using the Master Emerald's power to disassemble Gunn's vehicles. Stone runs out of the building and begs Robotnik to take him with him, so Robotnik drags him along. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles arrive in Green Hills through a ring portal and see a hurricane made by the Emerald. The hurricane clears up and reveals Robotnik built a robot the size of the planet using the vehicle parts. Robotnik proceeds to step forward, forcing Gunn to retreat. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles try fighting Egg Robotnik, that's the name of the robot, but as long as Robotnik has the Emerald, they can't win. Sonic gets the idea for him to create a distraction so Tails and Knuckles can break into Egg Robotnik. They try it out, and it ends up working, and Knuckles punches the Master Emerald out of Egg Robotnik, but throughout the struggle, Sonic got mortally injured. Sonic sees the Emerald and tries to reach it, but Robotnik had planned for an event where he loses the Emerald and activates the auxiliary power, reactivating Egg Robotnik. Robotnik starts moving close to Sonic as he's about to grab the Emerald, but Tom and Maddie swoop in and grab Sonic, so Robotnik makes them crash the truck. On the ground, Sonic tries to use the Master Emerald, but it shatters because of the damages it sustained. Sonic tells Tom and Maddie to leave, but Tom and Maddie say that Friends stick together no matter what. The Chaos Emeralds that came out of the Master Emerald react, but Robotnik kills Sonic as they went into him. Egg Robotnik shakes as Robotnik sees the Chaos Emeralds transform Sonic into Super Sonic. Sonic and Robotnik fight, but since Sonic has the Chaos Emeralds, he gets the advantage and knocks over Egg Robotnik, killing Dr. Robotnik. Afterward, Sonic lets go of the Chaos Emeralds, and since he still has growing up to do, Knuckles gathers the remains of the Chaos Emeralds since Knuckles gathers the remains on the Master Emerald and puts them together, making the Master Emerald just a glowing green rock now. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles make a pact to protect the Master Emerald, or what's left of it anyway. A while later, the squad plays baseball and decide to leave for some food. Before they leave, Tom talks to Sonic about finally finding Fry-Ins to grow up with. Sonic adds that he's gotten more than that, and both enter the truck and leave to celebrate. 1 week later, Gunn investigates the area Egg Robotnik crashed. Commander Walters deduces that no one can survive a crash like that, believing Robotnik is finally dead. But then it's revealed Stone somehow survived, as now he's disguised as a gun agent. A gun agent informs Commander Walters about how they found a file dating back over 50 years while wiping Robotnik off their database. Their coordinates to a secret research facility. Commander Walters realizes it's about Project Shadow. October 2023. A month after Knuckles settled down on Earth, one day he wakes up at dawn to train himself and sets a new record. He sees smoke near Tom's house and deduces it must be under attack, and ambushes the people there. But it's actually a crew trying to repair the house instead after what happened last month. And because of what Knuckles did to them, they end up leaving. Sonic talks to Knuckles about adjusting to Earth's lifestyle, and should relax and make himself feel home since Robotnik's dead and has no new quest to embark on. Knuckles sits on the roof all night meditating while thinking about what Sonic said, and decides to heed his advice. The next morning, Sonic, Tails, and Maddie notice the throne Knuckles made at the table. Sonic says that if any of them wish to sit there, they must defeat him in a ritual battle of trial by combat. Knuckles then shows what he did to the living room as part of making himself at home. Knuckles announces the first match of the place as Ozzy has challenged his greatest enemy, the Green Hills Mailman. Maddie reaches her breaking point and banishes Knuckles in the attic. Meanwhile, in a bowling alley, Wade is competing in a bowling match and tries to win for his team, the Renegades, but ends up losing. The leader of the team, who's also a bounty hunter, Jack Sinclair, tells Wade that he doesn't have what it takes, so he kicks Wade off the team and replaces him with a young girl named Susie. Now, it's not clear on how old Susie is. In one scene, Wade says she's 5, and then in another scene, he says she's 8. So that's why I put young girl there. So just for context. Okay, don't get any weird ideas, please. In the attic, Knuckles is just laying around doing nothing until the ghost of the last chief of the Echidnas, Pachacamac, tells Knuckles his quest has only begun since he's the last of the Echidnas, and the legacy of their people is in his hands. Chief Pachacamac tells Knuckles to train Wade in the ways of the Echidna as he seeks to compete in a bowling tournament in Reno, Nevada. Wade tries to toughen himself up to prove Jack wrong, but ends up choking himself when he tries to lift weights. Knuckles arrives and saves him, and says he's come because Wade wants to compete in the Tournament of Champions in Reno, Nevada. Wade tells Knuckles everything that happened. Then Knuckles says he can train Wade in the ways of the Echidna and make him a warrior so Wade can challenge Susie and get his spot back on the team. Wade consents and they get on the road. While driving, Wade tells Knuckles about music and plays one of his mixes, which Knuckles ends up kicking due to the lyrics. Meanwhile, at gun headquarters in London, Agent Fairley informs Agent Willoughby that Knuckles has left Green Hills, so they must inform Commander Walters. Agent Willoughby tells Agent Fairley that everything will be fine and says she's in complete control of the situation and makes the satellite service offline. Agent Mason throws a ring leading to the Mushroom Planet, making Agent Fairley realize Willoughby and Mason have betrayed Gunn. So Mason kicks Agent Fairley through the ring portal. In another location, a mysterious forger is working on something until he gets a call from Willoughby, who tells the forger that Knuckles has left Green Hills. The forger tells her without his Friance, he's vulnerable, and that his power is the key for powering his greatest creation. Willoughby tells Forger they'll bring Knuckles in 24 hours, but the forger sends some stuff to even the odds, as anyone who goes against Knuckles has to be ready for the fight of their lives. Wade asks Knuckles when the training starts, so Knuckles says he can't trade Wade without first knowing their battleground. Wade takes Knuckles to a bowling alley, which the former says is, which the latter says is his. Wade takes Knuckles to a bowling alley, which the former says is his battleground, but the latter says it doesn't look like much of a place of battle. It's a playground for adult morons. Wade shows Knuckles the battles he's up against by rolling a bowling ball and getting a strike. Knuckles is instantly impressed and starts to understand his interests in bowling. Wade reveals the other reason he likes bowling is to Knuckles. Wade reveals the other reason he likes bowling to Knuckles. His dad taught him everything he knows, but one day he abandoned him at a department store, and whenever he's on the lanes, it's like he's there with him. Knuckles sees that bowling is what makes Wade feel at home. Then the place lights up differently, so Wade takes Knuckles to the lanes to see what he can do in bowling. Knuckles is so strong that he ends up throwing the ball and shattering the pins and the glass behind the pins. Wade is shocked to see he can do that, and Knuckles says in due time Wade will be able to do that. Wade thanks Knuckles for believing in him, since most people think he's a joke. Knuckles assures Wade that he makes warriors, not jokes. A ring portal opens, with Willoughby and Mason coming through the other side, with fully geared up with the gear the forger had sent them. Willoughby starts firing, so Knuckles quickly hides Wade and confronts the traitors. Willoughby says they're taking Knuckles with them, so Knuckles clashes with the traitors and gains the advantage, until Willoughby fires a ring and transports Knuckles into a case. Once the traitors leave, Wade sees the gauntlet Knuckles took off Mason and left behind and gets an idea. Later, the traitors make it to the Ice Cap ski resort where the forger wants to meet them. Wade arrives in his police car to save Knuckles, but realizes he isn't prepared, so he turns back to prepare himself for the rescue plan. Knuckles wakes up in the resort, seeing where he is and the traitor in front of him. Meanwhile, Wade picks up a bunch of supplies to prepare for the rescue plan. Back with Knuckles, Willoughby reveals to Knuckles that she knows everything about Knuckles, since studying aliens had been her job for a while. Knuckles tells Willoughby about how he and his team killed Dr. Robotnik, and that he can easily kill someone like Willoughby. Willoughby tells Knuckles that while she knows everything about him, he knows nothing about her, but will know everything on her once the job's done. Wade arrives at the resort all prepared to rescue Knuckles, but the plan backfires, causing him to fly straight into the resort and dropping one of the gauntlets. Mason goes after Wade and fights him, and while they fight, Mason gains the upper hand and reveals the reason he joined Gunn is so he can beat up so that he can beat up superpowered aliens. Wade gets an advantage, however, and ends up knocking out Mason. Wade arrives to where Knuckles is and fires the other gauntlet at the case, causing an explosion that knocks out Willoughby and frees Knuckles. Knuckles carries Wade and jumps off the mountain the resort's on and glides to a far distance. They steal a truck that's near them and drive away. Along the way, they stop somewhere to eat and discuss the rescue. Knuckles says the only reason they're still standing was out of luck. Wade tells Knuckles that it doesn't matter how you win, you should take every win and enjoy it, which is another thing his dad taught him. The traders wake up and exit the resort, trying to figure out what to do now since the Forger will be coming for them if they don't get Knuckles back fast. Knuckles tells Wade that he has journeyed across the galaxy, but has not found any place to call home, only that he has been betrayed over and over again. Wade feels his pain, as he has been betrayed a lot as well. Knuckles and Wade get back on the road and listen to music along the way, until suddenly gets interrupted with an announcement that authorities have a manhunt for Wade and there's a bounty on him. Once morning arrives, Knuckles tells Wade they need to find somewhere safe. Wade knows where he needs to go, but is gonna regret going there. Wade arrives at his family's house and is greeted by his sister Wanda and his mother Wendy, who both think Wade's a joke. When Knuckles introduces himself, Wendy faints, so Wanda checks to make sure he has no weapons. Once Wendy recovers, she invites Knuckles and Wade to join them for Shabbat dinner. Wade recalls every other Shabbat dinner in the past and tells Knuckles they gotta leave now. But later that day, they end up staying for the Shabbat dinner. During the dinner, Knuckles tells the story at the table while hijinks occur between the Whipple family. After a while, Wade gets stabbed with a fork and decides to leave and go into his room. While Wade leaves, Wendy calls Wade's dad a joke, making Wade more pissed. Meanwhile, someone discovers the bounty on Wade and calls up some people to help out. Knuckles checks up on Wade and sees his pantheon of heroes on the wall, but one individual catches Knuckles: Pistol Pete Whipple. Wade reveals that man is his dad. Knuckles deduces that he's the champion and will be at the tournament, which is why they're going to Reno. Wade is surprised to hear this and says he didn't know that and didn't affect his decisions at all. Knuckles notices the music player Wade has, so Wade has him listen to his jam. Knuckles doesn't know what a jam is, so Wade explains that a jam is something that gets you pumped up and gives you the courage to do things that are unordinary. Wade reveals that every time he and Pistol Pete went to the bowling alley on Friday afternoons, they'd listen to the mix. Outside the house, the bounty hunters have arrived to kill Wade. They attack the house, so Knuckles and the Whipples defend the place. Afterward, Wanda and Wendy no longer find Wade a joke. The next morning, Wade gets dragged by a man on a motorcycle, but Knuckles doesn't go after him, as he claims in order to be a true warrior, he must learn to rescue himself. After a while, the man stops dragging Wade, but to Wade's surprise, that the man is Jack Sinclair, who then shocks Wade and locks him in a cage. Jack reveals he came for the bounty on Wade because he's low on funds due to a lawsuit against a themed restaurant, and once Wade is turned in, Jack's life will get turned around. Jack turns on the electric bars, so Wade can't get out by touching the bars. Knuckles calls Wade and tells him he needs to rescue himself by learning where a warrior's strength comes from. Knuckles then tells Wade to get into a meditative state to travel to the great battleground in the sky. It starts to work, but then Jack shocks Wade and knocks him out. Wade wakes up and sees Chief Pachacamac, who tells him he's made it to the great battleground in the sky. He then says he's here to show Wade where Knuckles' true strength lies through a rock opera, so he can use that lesson for his real-life predicament. Throughout the rock opera, Wade learns Knuckles' backstory and how he got the Flames of Disaster. And once he learns that true strength comes from within, he busts through the roof of the cage and lands. Once Jack exits the vehicle, Wade challenges him to a duel for his freedom. The two clash, but Wade's determination is too much for Jack, so the latter gives up and flees. Wade takes Jack's stuff and uses his motorcycle to drive to Reno with Knuckles. Later on, Knuckles and Wade finally arrive at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno, Nevada, the place where the Tournament of Champions will be taking place. Inside, Wade sees Pistol Pete inside the place, like Knuckles said he would, showing off in front of everyone. Wade can't talk to him as he doesn't know what to say, so Knuckles gets the idea of telling him what to say through an earpiece. The plan ends up being embarrassing, as in the middle of the conversation, Knuckles admires a mascot costume, so Wade takes off the earpiece and speaks to Pistol Pete of his own volition. Wade tells Pistol Pete he came because he missed him. Pistol Pete tells Wade that he missed him as well, so Wade tells him he's here because he's also competing in the tournament. Wade and Pistol Pete start bonding as Knuckles watches them from a distance. Meanwhile, in a remote location, the traitors are taken to the Forger as they failed to capture Knuckles. The Forger comes up to them, telling them he doesn't deal with failure. He then reveals they have something in common. Gun is their enemy. He reveals that he's one of the remnants of Robotnik, and that after the events of San Francisco, the government tried to erase all connections to Robotnik, as they tried to kill him, so he was forced to go into hiding like the others. Willoughby tells the remnant of Robotnik that they need more time, as she says they will catch Knuckles. She reveals the reason she betrayed Gun is because they betrayed her. Willoughby studied extraterrestrials her whole life, and when the events in San Francisco happened, she joined up to protect Earth. She discovered that instead of going after Sonic, Gun let him stay in Green Hills, so when she tried telling Commander Walters, she was taken out of the field and was placed behind a work desk. She was also the one who ordered the Olive Garden gift card and planned the fake wedding. She tells them that if they get one more chance, Gun will suffer. The remnant of Robotnik decides to give them one more chance as he still needs Knuckles' power for his new creation. But now the traitors will be fighting for their lives. Back at Reno, the Tournament of Champions has begun. Wade and Pistol Pete have made it to the finals, so an intermission is held and the tournament will resume the next day. Wade and Pistol Pete talk after what happened in the tournament. Wade asks Pistol Pete why he left, so the latter reveals the reason why is because he was searching for something, and that he thought he would find it on the lanes. Then he says that he now knows that he should have been looking at home, that the choices he made were the wrong ones. Then he shows Wade he got all of his mixes, and says he didn't have the courage to write back. Pistol Pete then invites Wade to come over to his suite later to catch up more. Later, Wendy comes by Wade's room and tells Wade she has a hunch that Pistol Pete might betray them again. Wade tells her that even though she doesn't want him in her life, he wants him in his. Then he goes back into his room. Wendy approaches the elevator, but Mason is one of the other people in there. Wade arrives at the suite, which Pistol Pete reveals is actually the penthouse. Wade is surprised by everything he's seeing until Pistol Pete shows Wade his master suite, where Wade sees his family taken hostage by the traitors. Pistol Pete says to Wade the reason he betrayed him again this time is because he's the only Whipple that matters. He tells Wade to withdraw from the tournament and give the traitors Knuckles, or else he can't stop them from killing his family. With no other choice, Wade agrees to do it. Once Wade arrives at the room, Willoughby tells Knuckles to keep the phone on so they can hear him. Wade enters the room and lies to Knuckles, saying he wants to show him something at Pistol Pete's suite. Once at the elevator, Wade says he left his name tag in the room and tells Knuckles to go without him and that he'll meet him there soon. When the door closes, Wade tells the traitors Knuckles is on the way. Once Knuckles arrives at the penthouse, the elevator door opens and Willoughby starts firing. But then the traitors look in the elevator. But when the traitors look in the elevator, they see that costume had been shot instead. Knuckles jumps from the elevator ceiling and attacks them. Wade reveals that Knuckles was listening the entire time through an earpiece. Knuckles fights the traitors, and while that happens, Wade sneaks in and rescues his family. Throughout the fight, Willoughby fires rings, but Knuckles punches them. Then Knuckles punches them. But when the portals activate, the traitors are caught in the middle. Of them. Then the rings collide, causing a warp paradox that makes the rings disappear, killing the traitors in the process. Knuckles tells Wade about the tournament, that he can still win and beat Pistol Pete. At the tournament, Pistol Pete arrives, and when the announcers call out Wade, he doesn't show up. When Pistol Pete says he wins because Wade didn't show up, he picks up the trophy. Then Wade arrives as if on cue, telling him to put the trophy down. Pistol Pete gives one last chance for Wade to turn back, but Wade's determined to win. The tournament resumes, and the two teams keep getting strikes over and over. Suddenly, Knuckles hears commotion outside while watching the tournament, and rushes outside to see what's happening. Knuckles sees a mech piloted by the remnant of Robotnik, in which the latter grabs him and tosses him around. Back at the tournament, Pistol Pete rolls and ends up getting a spare, giving Wade a chance to win. The announcers wonder if Wade is strong enough to finish the fight, making Pistol Pete ask the same thing. Wade tells him that he is, because all his life he has learned from Knuckles. Because all his life he has learned he has learned a lot, and that he learned from Knuckles that real warriors wouldn't exist if not for those who came before them, showed them the way, and never stopped fighting no matter how hard the battle became, which is why he never would have found his greatest strength, his true power, without him. Pistol Pete says Wade will always be a loser, so Wade rolls the ball and gets a strike, making him the champion. Suddenly, Knuckles crashes into the lanes, making everyone run away. Wade runs outside to help Knuckles, but the remnant of Robotnik drains out Knuckles' power and tosses him away. Wade prepares to fight until Wanda and Wendy drive in and give Wade the gauntlets. With the gauntlets in hand, Wade starts throwing bowling balls at the mech, while telling Knuckles everything he learned from them. Knuckles everything he learned from him, and that they're stronger when they fight together, and that Knuckles fights to honor his tribe and protect his friends. Then Wade tells Knuckles he now has something new to fight for: a home. Wade runs out of bowling balls, so when the remnant of Robotnik attacks, Knuckles awakens, accepting Earth as his home. Knuckles takes the power back from the mech and uses the Flames of Disaster to fight. Wade fires one of the gauntlets at the giant ball on top of the stadium. Knuckles catches it and throws it at the remnant of Robotnik, killing him in an instant. Inside the stadium, one of the announcers reveals that there was a visit by an extraterrestrial in the 1974 tourney. Now, okay, I know this detail isn't probably relevant to the story, but they could be talking about Shadow here, because as we all know from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Shadow never never went to a tournament of any kind. They might be referring to other extraterrestrial, which might be interesting. But anyways, uh, back to the timeline. Then the announcers see Pistol Pete stealing the trophy, but then Wanda and Wendy step in and beat him up. Wade takes the trophy and celebrates his victory. After they celebrate, Knuckles and Wade drive back to Green Hills. Along the way, Wade makes it a new mix, and when Knuckles hears the song playing, he says it's his jam. January 2024. In a place called Prison Island in Tokyo, Japan, a couple of guards are watching over Project Shadow. Suddenly, the system gets hacked, making the containment tank destabilize, which wakes up Shadow, who proceeds to kill all the guards inside. He escapes the prison and air skates across the ocean to get to the city nearby. In Green Hills, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles have a race. Sonic thinks he won, but sees the others arrive before him. Sonic discovers the others are actually holograms, meaning he won the race after all. But then he worries as something must happen to them, so he runs back to discover the others have thrown him a surprise party to celebrate the 11th anniversary of when Sonic arrived on Earth, and that the race was a distraction. They celebrate until sunset, where Sonic and Tom discover the old cave the former had lived in until Tom took him in. Tom finds a picture Sonic drew the day he came to Earth so he can remember where he came from. Sonic asks if Longclaw would be proud of him. Tom replies by saying she would, and even though she died when Sonic was young, his pain didn't change who he was inside. He goes on and says life is about the choices you make, some good and some bad, and as long as you listen to yourself, you'll always make the right choice. You'll make the right choice when it matters the most. In Tokyo, Shadow sees the year displayed on a giant screen and realizes he's been trapped for 50 years. Gun soldiers arrive to restrain Shadow, but it's no use. Shadow's power is too much for them. Commander Walters has no choice but to enlist the help of Sonic's squad, so he sends Director Rockwell to pick them up in a helicopter and take them to Tokyo. Once they're picked up, they open a ring portal to Tokyo and see Shadow cause explosions. Tails prepares titanium handcuffs to restrain Shadow. Then the team jumps out of the helicopter and land to confront their opponent. The team tries fighting Shadow, but the latter proves to be too strong for them. Shadow then runs away, so Sonic gives chase on his own. Sonic and Shadow clash, but the former is knocked out and lands on the handcuffs Tails made. Sonic decides they need to speak to Gun about who the new threat is and needs somewhere to regroup. Tails suggests a cafe called the Chow Garden and agree to go there. Commander Walters arrives and tells the team of who Project Shadow is and how he was trapped for 50 years. Sonic realizes if he's been in stasis for 50 years, someone had to help him escape. Problem is, there's very few people who even know of his existence. Suddenly, the cafe is attacked by drones, but it's impossible for them to exist since Dr. Robotnik is dead. Suddenly, a masked man on a motorcycle arrives and disables the drones and drives off. Throughout the chaos, Commander Walters is mortally injured. Sonic rushes over to help, then Commander Walters gives Sonic a key to the most powerful weapon Gun has made. Then he dies. The team sees Gun arrive, so they leave until they get more info. Director Rockwell sees that Commander Walters is dead and the launch key he had is gone, and deduces that Sonic is the one who killed him. Back with the team, they chase down the masked man and corner him, and demand to know who he is. The masked man removes his mask, and Knuckles recognizes him as Stone, the person who helped Robotnik and one of the remnants of Robotnik. The team demands to know why he freed Shadow, but Stone says he didn't, and shows him the inside of his base, which is a giant crab drone. To the team's surprise, they see Dr. Robotnik is still alive somehow, even after the crash. Stone reveals that someone is impersonating Robotnik by using his tech, so Robotnik figures out where the imposter is hiding. Tails points out that they're both after the same person, so after a bit of hesitation, Sonic decides to work with Robotnik. Meanwhile, Shadow arrives at the old laboratory, recalling the events that happened there. Suddenly, he sees someone and recognizes their voice, saying he can't get Maria's death out of his head. The figure says they must punish them. Sonic and his team arrive at the abandoned lab and enter the place. They find 3 paths, so the team splits up into 3 groups. Tails and Stone take the left, Knuckles takes the middle, and Sonic and Robotnik go right. While Knuckles is investigating, Shadow comes up and attacks him. With Tails and Stone, Tails talks about his team and how they have a role to play, as well as them being Fryans. Stone starts to break when hearing this, when Shadow comes up and also attacks them. Sonic and Robotnik find a room where people lived and discover Shadow had a family. Sonic suggests maybe Robotnik's life would have been different if he had a family, which Robotnik says he has no family or ever had any family, and that the Robotnik name ends with him. Sonic investigates another room, then Shadow comes up and attacks him. Robotnik's where his drones are, then suddenly the imposter comes out and reveals himself to be Professor Gerald Robotnik, Robotnik's grandfather who is supposed to be in prison. Robotnik doesn't believe he's related to him, so he tests his IQ and concludes he is related to him, but then gets angry on where he's been his whole life. Gerald says that he had been locked up in a prison cell for the last 50 years and tells him he summoned him here for a reason. Back with the rest of the team, they're all tied up now. The team wakes up and sees the 2 Robotniks walking toward them, realizing that Gerald is the mastermind behind everything, and to the team, and that Robotnik has betrayed them. Shadow takes the weapon key from Sonic and is revealed to the team the weapon, called the Eclipse Cannon, was designed by Gerald and was given to Gun in exchange for his freedom, and that he used it for revenge. Then Gerald's team, now with Robotnik and Stone, leave for London to get the second key to the weapon locked in Gun headquarters. Before Shadow leaves, he drops an orb that creates a mini black hole, which starts sucking up the matter around the team and destroying it. Sonic manages to use the ring to save the team and land in a safe place as the team sees the mini black hole destroy the mountain. Back with the Robotniks, they start having a fun time together, making Stone feel excluded. Meanwhile, with Tom and Maddie, they are relaxing in Green Hills until the team comes through a ring, asking them they need help on a dangerous mission. The team prepares a plan to infiltrate the place and snag the key, until Maddie suggests using the Master Emerald, to which Sonic says they can't. It's too powerful to ever use again. He adds that Tom always wants them to make good choices, and that this plan is the right choice. In London, Robotnik's In London, Robotnik's team has arrived, ready to steal the second key from Gun headquarters. Shadow wants to go and get the key himself, but Gerald says he and Robotnik will go instead, that Shadow will get his revenge soon. Robotnik prepares suits for them to enter the place in, while Stone and Shadow stay behind. At the same time, Sonic's team has also arrived in London, ready to execute their plan. Tom and Maddie use holograms to disguise themselves as Rachel and Randall and get ready to and get to the server room, which ends up working somehow, and insert the USB in, giving Tails control of the energy shield. However, there's another USB inserted, meaning the Robotniks are on their way to the vault. Meanwhile, Stone tells Shadow to lighten up as soon they will rule the world. But Shadow says that after done, there won't be nothing. There won't be anything left. There will be nothing left to rule. These words make Stone suspicious, but before he can get any answers, Tails finds them and causes a flood in the sewers that washes out the giant crab drone. The Robotniks are almost to the vault, so Sonic rushes in to stop them. But when Sonic and the Robotniks enter the vault, they are stopped by variable gravity. Director Rockwell comes in the vault with Tails, Tom, and Maddie. Wait, but wasn't Tails on top of a building? How did they catch him there? And tell them they will be taken to prison, that there is no escape. But the team planned for this though, as Sonic calls Knuckles to break them out. Knuckles tries to turn off the gravity, but ends up breaking the controller and making the gravity falter. Throughout the struggle, Sonic saves Tails, Tom, and Maddie from falling rubble, and the variable gravity is disabled. Director Rockwell takes back the launch key, or Robotnik is able to get it. Suddenly, Tom gets an idea and runs out. As Director Rockwell walks down the hall, she sees Commander Walters, alive somehow, who tells her to give the key back, which Director Rockwell does. Turns out that wasn't Commander Walters. Tom was pretending to be him to get the key. Suddenly, Shadow busts in and sees who he thinks is Commander Walters. With all his rage, he kills him and takes the key. But then sees the hologram disguise get deactivated and sees it wasn't Commander Walters. Sonic runs in and sees Tom on the ground and gets pissed at Shadow for what he's done. The rest of the team arrive and see Tom's unconscious body as well. The Robotniks get attacked by gun soldiers, but Shadow arrives just in time. Now that they have both keys, the Robotniks and Stone arrive in the Eclipse Cannon, and the Robotniks obtain new suits. Stone manages to get out of the river and calls Robotnik to try and warn him, but the latter doesn't listen and terminates his services. The Robotniks start the Eclipse Cannon and it starts to ascend to space. Back with Sonic's team, Tom is taken to the hospital. Sonic realizes that he needs to use the Master Emerald to stop them by any means necessary. He gets the location of where it's at. Sonic goes to Wade, who is guarding the Emerald, until he swipes it and uses it to recall the Chaos Emeralds and becomes supersonic. The Eclipse Cannon has made it to space and starts warming up. Shadow wonders if Maria really wanted revenge, so Gerald reminds him of what happened that day. Furious, Shadow runs around the core and fills it with chaos energy when Robotnik is confused on why he's doing that. Gerald confesses it was his plan all along, to wipe out everything including him, as he says he has no family left after Maria died. Robotnik starts to get pissed, finally finding family just to get rejected again. After Shadow finishes the job, he promises Maria justice until Sonic crashes through the Eclipse Cannon and attacks him. They land somewhere on Earth until Shadow punches the Chaos Emeralds out of Sonic. They both rush for the Chaos Emeralds, but they each only get half as they transform into weaker versions of Super Sonic and Project Shadow Supreme, as I like to call him. You could also call him Project Shadows for short if you want. They start fighting, punching each other all over the world. Meanwhile, the Robotniks start fighting each other on the Eclipse Cannon. Sonic and Shadow land somewhere, and the latter starts criticizing Sonic's actions, making Sonic go beyond enraged and punches them all the way to the moon. When Sonic is about to kill Shadow, he remembers Tom's words and realizes killing out of revenge isn't who he is. They stop fighting, then Shadow remembers Maria's words and decides to help Sonic stop the Eclipse Cannon. Back with the Robotniks, Gerald gains the upper hand and sends Robotnik out of the Eclipse Cannon. Tails and Knuckles catch Robotnik before he dies, and they push Gerald into the core, killing him. The cannon is about to fire, so Robotnik and Tails start steering the cannon blast away from Earth while Sonic and Shadow block the blast. This works, but they end up slicing the moon in the process. Um, yeah, this is also important. Trust me. Um, However, the strength of the cannon proves too much for Sonic, so he passes out. Tails sees this and chases after Sonic in space to save him. The Eclipse Cannon's reactor core starts overloading, so Robotnik and Shadow have to send it far away from Earth. Shadow removes his wristbands, this is important, trust me, and starts pushing the Eclipse Cannon while Robotnik stabilizes the reactor core. Robotnik starts a live stream and says goodbye to Stone, being the only person who ever cared about him his entire life. Then Tails catches Sonic, but he also passes out, so Knuckles catches both of them, throws a ring, and saves them. Shadow remembers everything he did on Earth and is determined to save it. Robotnik says his final words, then he and Shadow die in the cannon's explosion. The team lands in a cornfield and sees Robotnik and Shadow had sacrificed themselves to save Earth. Sonic apologizes for what he did and says they'll always be a team. Stone also sees the explosion and says goodbye to Robotnik forever. 1 week later, the team goes camping, and it's revealed Tom is still alive, but now has a arm. Now that they're all back, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles decide to race for real. Sonic ends up winning, but overshoots the finish line and lands in New York, where a robot called the Metal Sonic comes up behind him and fires. Sonic dodges the attack and punches Metal Sonic, until an army of Sonic robots appear and attack Sonic. Suddenly, a hammer comes around and destroys the Sonic robots. Then a hooded stranger catches the hammer and destroys Metal Sonic, making Sonic ask who this person is. The hooded stranger removes her hood and reveals herself to be a pink-colored hedgehog named Princess Sally. In another location, Shadow is still alive and picks up his wristband. See, that I told you that last part would be important. Ugh. Man, okay, so throughout the process of trying to figure out what the timeline for the story is, I realized that some parts, like Tails' backstory and Professor Gerald Robotnik getting out of prison, weren't exactly, they didn't have confirmed dates, is what I'm trying to say. So I just placed them into the tellings of the story, and yeah. I also I didn't cover every detail that happens in the timeline because I only wanted to focus on the parts that were relevant to the story. So I guess throughout this, you could say this is a recap of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies universe story so far. Although this could be the full story of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe, we don't know if there will be more parts coming soon. I mean, this could be the full story. So yeah. So anyways, what do you guys think of the timeline that I covered here? Do you think this timeline is correct? Do you think there are some things that I got wrong? Um, did I miss any? Did I miss any important details that were relevant to the story? Did I get any info wrong? Go ahead and comment down. Go ahead and comment below, and also put down your thoughts about the timeline as well. So, yeah. Anyways, thank thank you so much for watching my timeline for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe. Like this video if you liked hearing my recap, I guess, of the story of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe so far. Or if this will be the end. Share this video with others that you know and say, I made a timeline about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe. That's cool. And then, of course, subscribe if you want to see future videos. If you want to in case there will be more parts added to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe, if there will be future movies or future shows that will be added to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie universe, then if you want to see an update with this, then go ahead and subscribe if you want to see that, or if you want to see me recap more timelines of video game movie universes or video game universes, and if you want to see me recap a timeline of a video game movie, if you want to see me recap video game universes, then I'll do that. I can do that, or if video game movie universes, I'll do other recaps as well if you want to see me do that, or if you want to see me cover the timelines as well. Okay, anyways, I've gone on long enough. So, yeah, with that said, this is Thomas575, and this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.